You've probably heard it before. Careful, parrots are aggressive. Or maybe you've said it yourself after pulling your hand back and staring at a bright red mark on your finger. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most parrot bites are not aggression. They're communication. And the real mystery isn't why parrots bite. It's why we so often misunderstand what they're trying to say. If you've ever been bitten by your parrot, or you're thinking about bringing one into your home, there's a deeper story unfolding beneath that quick, sharp pinch. A story about wild instincts in domestic spaces, about intelligence that rivals a toddler's, about trust, boundaries, hormones, overstimulation, and something few owners are prepared for: emotional complexity. By the end of this, you may never look at a bite the same way again. But to understand why your parrot bites, we have to go back, way back, before cages, before living rooms, before YouTube videos of talking birds. Parrots evolved in some of the most socially complex environments on Earth: dense rainforests, savannas. In the wild, most parrot species live in tight-knit flocks that can number in the dozens or even hundreds. Every day is a dance of communication. Vocalizations, body language, feather positions, eye pinning, wing flicks. Their survival depends on reading and sending signals accurately. A parrot that can't communicate clearly doesn't last long. Now, consider this. Many of the parrots in American homes today, African greys, macaws, cockatoos, conures, are only a few generations removed from the wild. Unlike dogs, who've had tens of thousands of years of domestication, parrots are essentially wild animals adapting to human households. That difference changes everything. When you bring a parrot home, you're not bringing home a domesticated pet shaped by centuries of selective breeding for compliance. You're bringing home a prey animal with the intelligence of a young child, the emotional needs of a social primate, and the physical equipment of a bolt cutter attached to its face. And here's the open loop we'll come back to. What feels like aggression to you might actually be restraint. Let's start at the beginning of a typical ownership story. You bring home a young parrot. Maybe it's affectionate, curious, cuddly. It steps up easily. It seeks you out. It nibbles gently and preens your hair. You feel chosen. This is the honeymoon phase. But even in those early days, something subtle is happening. Your parrot is learning your patterns, your reactions, your tone of voice, your tolerance for certain behaviors. Parrots are observational learners. Studies on African gray parrots have shown advanced problem-solving skills, symbolic understanding, and even basic numerical competence. The famous research with Alex the African gray demonstrated not just mimicry, but conceptual learning. Understanding categories like color, shape, and number, that kind of brain doesn't just repeat sounds, it evaluates outcomes. So when your parrot leans in and gently touches your finger with its beak, it's not random. It's information gathering. Beaks are like hands. They explore, test, stabilize, and sometimes they push just a little harder. Many first bites happen during this exploratory phase. The bird steps up, climbs onto your shoulder, and suddenly clamps down. You're shocked. You pull away. Maybe you yell. From your perspective, it feels like betrayal. From the bird's perspective, data collected, cause and effect. You reacted strongly. Interesting. Now let's layer in overstimulation, one of the most common and misunderstood causes of biting. Imagine you're at a party. It's loud. People are touching you, talking over each other. Lights are bright. At first, it's fun. Then it's overwhelming. You want space. Parrots experience something similar. Petting that starts as enjoyable can quickly become too much. Many species are only meant to be touched on the head and neck, areas they can't preen themselves. Stroking down the back, under the wings, or near the tail can trigger hormonal responses, especially during breeding season. Here's where owners unknowingly escalate things. The bird leans into petting. You continue. The bird's pupils pin. Feathers fluff slightly. Maybe the body stiffens. Those are signals, subtle ones, but clear in parrot language. If those signals are ignored, the bird has limited options. It can't walk away easily if it's perched on you. It can't verbally say, "That's enough." So it escalates. First a gentle beak warning, then a firmer one, then bite. Not because it hates you, because it tried whispering and you didn't hear. Now let's open another loop. Hormones. Around 2 to 5 years of age, depending on species, many parrots hit sexual maturity. This is often when owners say, "My sweet baby turned mean." But nothing random happened. In the wild, this is when parrots begin pair bonding, defending territory, competing for mates. Hormones surge, sensitivity increases, attachment intensifies. In a human home, you are the flock. Sometimes you are the mate. If your parrot becomes possessive when someone approaches you, it's not plotting domination. It's responding to deeply wired breeding instincts. It may lunge at your partner. It may bite when you leave the room. It may become territorial around its cage. And here's the twist most owners don't expect. Biting during this phase is often boundary setting. In parrot society, beaks are not just weapons. They are tools for negotiation. A quick, controlled bite can mean, "Back up." A harder bite can mean, "I feel threatened." And in many cases, parrots show remarkable bite inhibition. They can crack Brazil nuts. If they wanted to cause severe damage, they could. The fact that many bites bruise but don't break skin is not a failure of aggression. It's restraint. Remember that open loop from earlier? What feels like aggression may actually be your bird holding back. Now let's look at trust testing. Parrots form long-term bonds. Some species can live 40, 60, even 80 years. That lifespan is not trivia. It shapes their psychology. They are wired for enduring relationships. When a parrot steps onto your hand and applies pressure with its beak, it may be asking, "Can I trust this perch? Will you remain stable? Will you flinch?" If you yank your hand away every time, you teach instability. Over time, the bird may grip harder to compensate. Cause and effect. There's also the issue of autonomy, something rarely discussed in pet ownership. Parrots are not compliant by nature. They are decision makers. In the wild, they choose where to fly, whom to sit beside, when to forage. In captivity, many of those choices disappear. So when a parrot refuses to step up and you insist, the bite may be the only tool it has left to say no. That's not dominance. That's consent being enforced. Now consider modern American lifestyles. Many parrot owners work full-time. The bird spends hours alone. Highly intelligent species like African greys and cockatoos can develop boredom-induced behaviors: screaming, feather plucking, cage aggression. Chronic stress lowers tolerance. A stressed bird is more likely to bite because its threshold for overstimulation drops. Research in avian cognition suggests parrots experience complex emotional states, including frustration and anticipation. Brain imaging studies show advanced forebrain development similar in structure, though not identical, to primates. This is not a decorative pet. This is a cognitively advanced, socially dependent being in a restricted environment. When those needs aren't met, behavior shifts. And here's where many ownership stories reach a breaking point. The bites become more frequent. The owner becomes anxious. Interactions grow tense. The bird senses the tension. Parrots read micro-expressions and tone changes. They are experts at pattern recognition. If you approach hesitantly, heart racing, they notice. Trust erodes on both sides. Some owners respond with punishment, tapping the beak, yelling, forcing cage time. That often worsens biting, not because the bird is spiteful, but because fear and confusion replace clarity. So what actually reduces biting long-term? Predictability, respect for body language, choice-based training, mental stimulation, flight opportunities when safe, structured social time. When a parrot knows it can step away without consequence, it bites less. When petting stays within species-appropriate areas, overstimulation decreases. When hormones are managed with proper sleep, 10 to 12 hours of darkness, and reduced nesting triggers, seasonal aggression softens. And when owners reframe biting from attack to message, everything changes. Let's resolve the central mystery. If your parrot bites you, this is usually why. You missed the whisper. The bite was the exclamation point. Not aggression, not hatred, not revenge. Communication. Now that doesn't mean bites are acceptable or should be ignored. It means they're data. Instead of asking, how do I stop my bird from biting? The more productive question becomes, what happened right before that bite? Were you petting too long? Approaching too quickly? Interrupting a favorite activity? Ignoring subtle body cues? Every bite has a backstory. And once you learn to read it, the relationship shifts from adversarial to collaborative. So here are 3 clear takeaways if you own or plan to own a parrot. First, learn the language. Study eye pinning, feather posture, stance changes, vocal tones. Assume every bite was preceded by quieter signals. Your job is to notice them earlier next time. Second, build trust through choice. Ask for step-ups rather than forcing them. Reinforce calm behavior. Allow safe ways to say no. A bird that feels heard bites less. Third, respect the species. Provide mental challenges, proper sleep, appropriate touch boundaries, and realistic expectations about lifespan and commitment. This is not a low-maintenance pet. It's a decades-long relationship with a mind that never stops working. Parrots don't bite because they're bad. They bite because they're brilliant. Brilliant enough to communicate clearly. Brilliant enough to form bonds that rival those of dogs, and sometimes exceed them in complexity. Brilliant enough to test you, trust you, and teach you patience if you're willing to learn. So, the next time your parrot grips your finger a little too hard, pause before labeling it aggression. Ask what it's trying to say. Because in most cases, the bite wasn't the beginning of the story. It was the last sentence in a conversation you didn't realize was happening. If you care about giving your bird a better life and building a relationship based on understanding rather than reaction, start listening sooner. Your hands will thank you, and more importantly, so will your parrot.